really why you're doing the podcast.
It's not lost any leaves, luckily, since I brought it home. It's just not like
Not thriving?
grown that much. Yeah, but it could be doing worse.
Sometimes plants in baskets, I do think they look good. Sometimes I think plants look terrible in baskets, and I hate baskets. Because there's something about a planter or a pot when you water it, you don't have to worry about it leaking out into the basket and leaking onto the floor.
I put
A tray? A plastic tray?
Yeah. Plastic tray in all of them.
Yeah, that's really smart.
No.
I know that. I was like, that's what I do for my giant Majesty palm over here. I put a tray on the bottom and I bottom what did I say again? Bottom water? Bottom water. That was when I had a stroke in that moment. I remember I was sending you a message like, I'm bottom bottering this. Wait, have you ever seen the video when the guy, I think maybe it's a guy or a girl. He's like, it's a lovely day. I'm outside. The churds are burping.
No.
And it literally took the dude. It took the dude maybe like, I'm not even joking, a solid like minute before he realized it was the birds are chirping.
Yeah, things like that always make me laugh. Wait, should we record?
Yeah. Are you recording?
And what I mean, are you recording? Because
recording?
twice now I've started recording and you haven't been recording.
Yeah, I made sure that I was going to record this time.
I'm recording.
So we are good on my end, and if you're good on your end, then we're good on all ends.
I'm hot and I want to turn a fan on, but I don't want it to.
Did you take out your window unit? I don't see a window unit in there.
Yeah. It was getting cold.
I know, but like the 2 random days where it's like 85 degrees.
I know.
I'm like sweating right now.
Across the hall is my other room with the other window unit. So I've just been letting that cold air flow through.
You could turn that one on for sure. Is that one on?
Well, it's on. Okay. It's just not flowing as much as I would like it to.
Turn a fan on. I don't think it's going to be that loud. Turn it on, and if I hear it. Is it on?
Yeah.
I can't hear it. Can anybody else hear that?
It's not facing me. It's not facing me. Hold on.
Ah, it's so loud. Oh my God.
Can you hear it?
No.
Look, if we're having show and tell really quick, did I ever show you the robot I got at the Texas State Fair last year?
That's so cute.
Look how cute it is.
That looks like something from a movie.
I know, it's like a Pixar guy. He has a whole stand. There's like a tent with like different vendors, and so this guy had his own like little.
That's adorable. I love that.
Several shelves. He had so many, and I was like, and I had to get one. Isn't he so cute?
That is the best. That's the best thing you can get from the Texas State Fair. Everything else is deep fried. I'm surprised that wasn't deep fried.
Well, we got deep fried food, and then I got a robot. And then I had to like wrap him very carefully on the plane ride home. Anyway, enough about robots. Let's talk Potter.
Oh, wow. Look at you getting right into the Potter chat. This is what I love to hear.
Right to it.
I am.
Would you like me to tell some more jokes?
Yeah, give me. Oh, yeah. Do you have more jokes? You're not allowed to look up jokes.
No, I didn't. I was kind of joking. I could look them up. But
No,
then I don't get any spoilers.
No.
My favorite one is, how does Harry Potter get rid of a rash?
Quit itch. And now you finally understand all these jokes, which makes it so much greater. I love it.
Not the Dementor one, though. I don't know what Dementors are yet. I guess they're later in the book.
Do you have any guess what they are? I think I asked you that in the very beginning.
They sound bad. They sound like I picture like the evil monkeys in Wizard of Oz. You know?
Okay.
That's what I imagine.
You should have heard Dementors in another pop culture reference. In
yeah, in The Office.
Yeah.
Don't think. I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
Do you know the line?
With the Dementors. I forget how he says it in the context. What is it? Or what does he say in that scene? He's talking about like.
In the Dementors, he was talking about. What was the worst part of prison, Mike? He goes, the worst part of prison was
That's right.
the Dementors.
The Dementors.
His accent in that is so good.
Terrible.
I
Yeah.
know. But I can't say anything else with Dementors. You have to make guesses, and that's that. Hold on, sorry.
Okay.
I'm literally trying to wait.
Talking with your crew.
I know. I'm literally trying to wait 1 minute because my computer is updating right now on my my other computer that I keep in front of me with all my notes. So.
Oh, you have notes. Well.
Oh, you have
while
notes.
We're talking, I don't really have notes this time because we're done. But speaking of me making guesses for the future, now that we've finished book 1, I do know one of your tells, and I can tell you what it is. And
yeah.
But now I know a totally new one. Looking back, when I have a guess that's correct, you sometimes act like it is the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life, or you act so surprised by it. I said 2 things, and you're like, "Why do you think that?" When I look back, you're like, "Why do you think that?"
Do you remember those 2 things?
Well, one I think was who gave Harry the invisibility cloak, and
yeah,
I said
you said Dumbledore.
and you said, "Why do you think that?" Like I had like a little sass to it. But then
maybe if there's a little bit more sass to my answers, that's when you know it's a tell, maybe.
Yeah. Well, when you act surprised, like, why would I, like, you act surprised that I would say that, that's when I now know I might be onto something. Because also when I guessed something about, I knew something was going on with Quirrell's turban, I just didn't know what.
Mm-hmm. And I roasted you for that one.
Yes. Well, now I know that I was on the trail of something, and you acted like it was so ridiculous.
Yeah, but here's the thing. For some of the stuff I'm saying is I act ridiculous for some things that you think are you might be dead right on. I act ridiculous for things that I think you're way off on. So my ridiculousness is sparsed in there a little bit, as well as my normalcy is sparsed into it.
But I'm
You're on
to
me.
To you now.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm on to some of your things because, yeah.
Everyone this season is like, I really need to watch what I say because you are like a detective for me. With the other guys, they're not so much as a detective for me. Like they believe some of the stuff that I say, and like I've like flat out lied to them about stuff.
I'm scanning.
And
I'm constantly scanning.
Yeah. You are just reading me the entire time.
Yeah. Kind of. Oh, your other tell, I'll just tell you because I think sometimes you're trying to throw it off or not. Your other tell is sometimes there's a couple things I said and you would go, "Oh," and you just slightly go a little bit higher pitch and you go, "Oh, how do you think that? Oh, interesting." Or sometimes you say, "Interesting." And 2 things when I look back and I was right, your first reaction was, "Interesting."
No, that's wrong. I say interesting for everything that you say.
Yes, but sometimes your tone changed slightly, and it's because I was onto something.
Maybe. I think your tells are full of crap, but
no, they're not. They're just, the timing is something I can't predict, but the biggest one I'm taking away from book 1 is you act like I've said something ridiculous if I've said something totally true.
I for sure have done that one for this specific podcast too. I've done it because I knew that we were coming up to it, so I wanted it to sound so ridiculous, and I wanted to like make fun of you for that, and then like you find out in the next chapter that Dumbledore gave what was it, that Quirrell's in the back of the head,
and the invisibility cloak. Yeah. I wouldn't have guessed he was on the back of his head or something.
Yeah.
I also didn't know what's possible in this world and not, so I would have guessed something like Voldemort had taken the shape of the turban. So I didn't know, but now I know like he's the back of the head. So now I know a little bit like what's possible here.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Wes says hi. Making a little guest appearance. He's just leaning against the wall.
Hey, Wes.
Little Ron Weasley over here. He still has all these briars in his fur. It's just so annoying. So I'm like picking them out.
Can you shave him?
I might. It's probably like his last summer cut, which isn't summer anymore, but
get rid of it.
You all right, bud? He's a little mad at me right now because
he's like, "No, thanks for asking."
I know. He's like,
He's definitely saying no.
I don't want to be pet that much right now. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bud.
He's never been so present.
I know, yeah.
in the podcast.
Because I think he was hurting before because I was ripping him off of him with a comb. Felt so bad.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to start doing reverse psychology on you for all this kind of stuff. Now I'm gonna really factor in what I like, everything that I say.
No, because then I'll pick up on that too. There's nothing you can do I won't pick up on. You can try, but I will. If you're trying to do reverse psychology, I will pick it up instantly.
You're like Dwight. There's a lot of office references in that. When Creed is playing chess. Oh no, Creed. Yeah, Creed is playing chess with Jim. And he's like, nope. If you do that, I'll do that. If you do that, I'll do that. If you do this, I'll do that. You don't want to do that.
I don't remember that.
That was a great
line.
Go
ahead and try. Do whatever tactics you feel you need to do, and we'll just see what happens, I guess.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but some people in chat are saying John is a great liar.
That's terrifying.
I know. No, I'm a great liar for this podcast. That's it.
Have you ever played Boulder Dash?
Yeah, it's a fun one.
It's the game where you have to, isn't that the one thing where you have to lie? I'm good at that too, and that's kind of freaky.
Yeah.
It's like where you get a prompt and then you have to write something that sounds convincing so other people guess.
Yeah.
So I'm good at that, but like.
No, so I think it's good to be good at those games because you know your family so well. Like if you're playing with people that you know them so well, you know how to lie to them. But you're not going to do that. It's like in real life, I'm not going to lie to my family and friends, but I know how if I wanted. If I wanted them to believe my Boulder Dash.
That's still scary.
All right. Answer me this. I asked you this when we finished the live read.
The intro.
We will do the intro after this question. This intro question. We're still in the preliminary stuff.
Okay, sorry.
How did you like the end of this book? Did it exceed your expectations? Did it underwhelm? Did it overwhelm? Was it on par?
It was either on par. I think it honestly exceeded my expectations because I had low expectations.
Yeah. Your expectations were very low.
For some reason, I thought it would just be boring or like simple. I thought we were headed towards something between Snape and Harry with like the ball flying through the air and Harry catches it because I misinterpreted the cover of the book.
Yep.
So it was way more detailed, complex, not really complex, but like, yeah, there was just more going on than I was expecting.
Are you somewhat excited to start the next book or are you like,
I feel like,
Okay, so we haven't fully won you over yet.
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to make anyone upset, but
all right.
I'm just like,
no, that's great. This is great. People are loving your journey through this. Yeah. So we'll see if you love it by any of these books.
You've also not talked book 2 up much at all. In fact, you've said it's the worst of the series. Mm-hmm. So there's not a lot of anticipation.
Yeah, for sure.
For book 2.
We're not going into that very excitedly.
It's the least favorite.
No, but I will say, and again, I say this for these books all the time, but every single book is a delight, and I love every single book equally. But book 2 is the worst. And
people who say like, "Oh, I love all my children equally."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but not number 2.
Yeah.
But he's the least
favorite. I love all 7 of my children, but the second one is the worst. I hate the second one.
Yeah.
So welcome to Harry. How do we? I always every once in a while I blank on how we intro. Welcome to the podcast.
I think that you say welcome to the podcast. Yeah. I'm John. I'm Abby.
It's my Alzheimer's. I'm telling you. Welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
I'm Abby.
And this is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.
Music playing.
yeah, there's some music.
I listened to an episode and then the beginning you have like twinkly music playing.
Yeah. Isn't it great music? It like fit well, you don't know if it fits Harry Potter yet, but it does fit Harry Potter pretty well.
What does that mean?
The guy who made it specifically.
Mystical.
Well, yeah, the guy who made it specifically so it matches the Harry Potter sound, but it's not Harry Potter, so it's like I can use it without copyright issues.
What do you mean the Harry Potter sound? Just like his vibe. What sound?
Yeah. Have you never heard of like the? Yeah, you've never seen the movie, so you don't know like the actual music in Harry Potter.
No.
So It's like that, but it's got I don't know what the instrument is. Yeah, what's the instrument that is like? Is it just horns? Is it a bunch of horns? Like I can't even think of. John Williams composed it, so it's probably a bunch of horns because he's famous for using all horns in his. But it's like everything. But it's like really once you listen to it once, you'll like be hooked, and our thing is similar. Anyhow, people are in a heated debate right now about how the second book is better than I'm making it out to be.
Harry's true fans are coming to defend him.
All right, let's jump right into chapter 15, The Forbidden Forest. Can you give me a summary of The Forbidden Forest? I know it's probably been a little while since you've reviewed, but give me a summary of The Forbidden Forest.
That's when they had just gotten caught on the tower, so they get detention.
Mm-hmm.
And Filch leads them into the Forbidden Forest for their detention. Then Hagrid takes them. They're hunting for a unicorn that's been maimed.
Mm-hmm.
And in their search for the unicorn, they come across 2 centaurs, which was a real.
You're rolling your eyes at centaurs, but you don't know. You're okay with dragons, but you're not okay with centaurs.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to what I like and don't like. So they come across these centaurs. The centaurs have like a weird warning about stars are bright tonight, or the moon is something about how they're like
Mars is bright
really
tonight.
Bright tonight. That's all they keep saying. And so it's like they feel like something is like coming. And they eventually, one of the kids, I forget who, sees the unicorn on the ground and a hooded figure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. Am I getting this confused? When does Harry see Quirrell in the classroom?
I think right after this. This is their detention.
Okay, so I'm getting order mixed up. Okay, so they're in the Forbidden Forest. They see a hooded figure drinking blood out of the unicorn, and then the hooded figure walks towards Harry, and his lightning bolt really hurts worse than ever. And the centaurs rush him back to like Hagrid, or the centaurs are just like they have to get him out of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
So they ride him out of the forest, and Harry goes back and tells Ron and Hermione what happened. And when he's going to bed that night, the invisibility cloak is back under his sheets with a note just in case you need it, or something like that.
It's a cute little thing, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which at the time, I couldn't help but wonder if it was Dumbledore, or when I read that, possibly McGonagall put it back.
Who put it back?
Remember how Dumbledore.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm just making sure that you know.
Well, that was who my original guess was. And then you threw me a curveball when you said, what if it was McGonagall?
Yeah.
And I hadn't really considered that before. But let the record show that my first guess was Dumbledore.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Your first guess was Dumbledore. You nailed a lot of predictions in this book. You missed a few, but you nailed a lot. I mean, one of your predictions was you thought Harry was going to catch the Sorcerer's Stone on a broom, just like the cover showed. And it was just him playing Quidditch. So that was a little off. But you nailed a few really good ones.
I misinterpreted the cover.
Yeah.
I was led astray by the cover.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was just like art related to the story. I forget the order here. So it might have been the next chapter, but when the kid... Oh, it is the next chapter. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's how 15 ends. And then in 16... Oh, wait, do you want to stop here? And
let's just go. We can go right into 16 now. No, yeah, let's stop here and have a little discussion. There's one cool thing, and upon this is something that we always mention when we hit these chapters, but there's like the centaurs being able to read the stars is like a big part of the magical world, and that them saying that Mars is bright tonight. Do you know what that actually means astrologically?
No.
Mars
Other
is...
than they knew something was like danger.
Yeah. So it was dangerous, but because Mars was bright, they knew it was dangerous. Mars is the Roman... I think it's Roman, yeah. And it's the bringer of war. So when they're seeing Mars being bright, they're thinking that war is coming soon. So that's why Mars is bright tonight. There's a lot of danger coming. That's like their whole thing.
So is that foreshadowing for the whole series or just the end of the book?
Yeah, that's a good question. What do you think?
Well, I asked you first.
I can't answer your questions.
I don't think that we're done yet with the war. I think it's both. I think it's foreshadowing towards the end of the book. And I think it's also foreshadowing for the whole series.
Yeah, yeah. So you think that there is going to be more war in this series?
Well, absolutely. Voldemort is not gone. He's just like, his spirit has floated off somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll talk about that as we hit the end too. But this chapter kind of opens up, and there's a weird line in here. I always thought this one was kind of weird, but it says, this isn't the weird line, but it says, it was the first time Hermione has ever failed to answer a teacher's question. She was staring at her slippers as still as a statue. Then McGonagall says, she's never heard of this before, and this is the first time she's ever heard of 4 students being out of bed.
Oh, yeah.
I always just think that's ridiculous because she's been teaching at the school for years, and she's never heard of 4 students out of bed. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, she's just trying to shame them.
Yeah. So, do you what are your feelings on McGonagall after all of these chapters? Do you like her more? Is she like a little too stern for you? What do you think of McGonagall?
I think my view of her has stayed the same. She's not warm and fuzzy like Hagrid, but she ultimately does have their back. Like, she's just doing what needs to be done to like keep the students in check, to keep the school in check. She's enforcing the rules. So I feel like I see kind of what she's like, at least so far as a character, and I feel like it fits.
Yeah, for sure. And then at this point in the books, when you were reading at this point, were you convinced that Snape was the main assailant?
Yes, because everything leads you to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
even like the book is leading you to that. Quirrell was on my radar.
I know, yeah, he was. You were very good at that.
But I didn't think he would be like the main bad guy. But I thought Quirrell and Snape were in cahoots together. So the fact that Snape wasn't the main bad guy did surprise me.
But you still think he's bad. You don't like Snape at all.
Previously I had a question mark over Quirrell, and I had Snape squarely in the bad guy category. And now I've reversed them. Now Quirrell is bad. He's dead now. But now Snape has a bit of a question mark. He's still been awful to Harry, and we know a little bit more of his backstory.
Yeah.
So I don't fully trust him, but I don't know if he's fully dark-sided, because he was actually trying to like in the Quidditch match, we learned he wasn't trying to put a spell on him. And then in the other Quidditch match, when he wanted to be the referee, it says that he wanted to protect him or look out for him or something. So
just so you know too, I am like in my head, I'm so in my head right now of trying to hide any sort of anything from you, because everything that you say, for this whole one, you were looking at the camera, like everything that you said, I feel like you were studying my face.
Really? No, I'm just
you're just spitballing
too close to my camera.
So you talked about you talked about the Quidditch matches too. Tell me about the Quidditch matches.
Well, no, they were saying that I guess it's Dumbledore, maybe we're skipping ahead. Dumbledore explains that Snape didn't put the curse on him. It was Quirrell, and Snape wanted to be the referee, whatever, that day to protect him. And then Snape was trying to get that information out of Quirrell in the room one day to see how far he had gotten to the Sorcerer's Stone. So it's like he was like defending Snape's motives the whole time, or like
why so Snape still has a question mark over his head, but here's one of my questions for you. Why wouldn't Snape turn him in?
Yeah, I don't know. Why wouldn't Snape turn him in? I don't know. Well, I still don't know if they were in cahoots. Like the day that the troll came into the school, I always suspected Quirrell had something to do with that.
Okay.
because Quirrell is the one who went up to Dumbledore. So I still don't know if Snape and Quirrell were in cahoots that day. I guess I still have some question marks.
Okay. So there's a question mark over a few people's heads right now. So we'll
I shouldn't have told you that I know what your tells are, because now I can see that you're trying to keep your face totally blank.
No, I'm not gonna like go crazy into like overthinking my reactions, because I know exactly how I react and why I react to certain things that you say, and I'm trying to hide certain things and trying to give you false sense of security. So we'll be good. What was did you think that this was an extreme detention for them to send them into the Dark Forest?
Yeah, that seemed a little bit. Sorry, I'm having a technical issue.
You're good.
Is that better? Can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm. You good?
Yeah, my monitor, I guess. I'm very sorry. Can you repeat the question? I'm present again.
We were talking, do you think it's extreme?
Detention is so dangerous. Yeah, why did they send the kids into the Forbidden Forest?
Yeah.
That seems a little bit above. Like, would you send kids into like save a burning building? No, you would send firefighters in there.
And then on top of that, Hagrid thinks it's smart to split them up and put Neville and Malfoy and Fang together and send them into the Dark Forest to go find something that Hagrid has just said that he's never seen before in the Dark Forest.
Yeah.
And it must be incredibly dark because it's killing the most pure being. What do you think of unicorns?
Doesn't that feel a little much, a little unwise?
Yeah.
Yeah, the unicorns coming up was just like, okay. All right.
But if there was a dragon there, it would have been fun.
Yeah, give me some dragon's blood. Dragon's blood would have saved everyone.
What was the worst punishment you got for a detention as a kid? You don't have to answer personal questions, but did you ever get a bad detention as a kid? I feel like you were kind of a rule follower.
I got detention once. I don't remember why. I probably was late. Did you ever I had to go to like a Saturday morning detention with like a bunch of people. And I assume I was just like, I think if you were late for school 3 times, you got it. I don't even remember.
Huh. Interesting.
Did you ever get detention?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah. For like the dumbest stuff. One time I walked into class with a jacket on, and my teacher was just handing out detention slips to anybody who came in the class with a jacket. Because the class before, she said, by the way, if make sure you put your jackets on the rack outside my classroom before you walk in. And I'm like, no one is gonna follow that. So I walked in and she just handed me a detention slip. I was like, are you kidding me?
What?
But my most infamous detention was when I was in 3rd grade. Do you know the movie Cool Runnings?
Yes.
It's one of the greatest movies ever made. I love that movie so much.
I've heard you talk about it a lot.
There's a line in that movie when they're on a push cart in Jamaica, and he pushes the thing and he's driving it, and Zonka, like the funniest character in the whole movie, goes, I love Jamaica and Jamaica loves me. So me being a funny, hilarious 3rd grader that I thought I was, which I wasn't, but I really thought I was, I ran past this one classroom during recess and I said, I hate America and America hates me. and the teacher who was in the class was the most patriotic person in the entire world.
To like a nationalist.
Yeah.
No.
And she called me and James up into her class, and I've never been that scared as a child in my life. She reamed me out for 5 minutes, and she reamed the kid who listened and laughed at me for 5 minutes.
Aww.
And that kid he was the smartest kid in the class, and he got a detention for it too, for just laughing at what I was saying. And I got a detention for that. That was ridiculous. I was like so mad that I got a detention for it.
It's a compliment that the smartest kid laughed at you. That means that your joke was clever. Kind of. That's how I would interpret that.
Yeah, thank you. I got a detention for it, but it was a little clever maybe.
I'm surprised I didn't see you as a detention.
I didn't get a ton. I was somewhat of a rule follower. I wasn't like a crazy rebel, but I did get a few detentions here and there for like the dumbest reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
Anyway.
I have any other ones.
Anyway. So let me find it. Oh, this is a funny little line when Fang goes, or Malfoy goes, "I want Fang," said Malfoy quickly, looking at Fang's long teeth. "All right, but I warn you, he's a coward," said Hagrid. And that was like exactly Wesley. That's my dog right there. He looks a little fierce sometimes, but he is an absolute coward.
He doesn't. He looks like a teddy bear as a dog.
Yeah, he's true. He does look like a teddy bear.
In a good way.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cute.
Who's Fang? I can't keep everybody straight sometimes. Which one's Fang?
Fang is the boarhound. Hagrid's dog.
Oh, that's right. Okay. And Fluffy is the 3-headed dog, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think that we're going to see like Fluffy or Norbert or any of these other creatures again?
Ooh, I hope we see Norbert again.
Okay. Of course, typical.
Yeah, I think Norbert.
Or the centaur. Do you think we're going to see the centaurs again?
I hope we don't ever see the centaurs again. I hope they disappear into the forest to never be seen again. The dog, I would think, Hagrid's dog. I don't know if he'll be a main character, but
yeah, for sure.
hopefully his dog won't go anywhere.
Yeah. Is it also when centaurs are talking about everything that they know, they're really mystical and they're like mysterious. Do you think that centaurs know the future? Do you think that they know everything that's going on?
It's hard for me to engage a centaur question. I actually can't even remember what you just said. I'm really sorry. Can you say it again?
As soon as you heard the word centaur, everything else just went out.
You know why? It's not just this, but this is why I have a hard time reading fantasy books, whatever, because something in my brain is like, it's not real. Abby, this isn't real. Like,
it's warning you.
It's not real. Yeah, it's just like, well, it's not real. Centaurs aren't real.
That's the fun part of fantasy. Your brain is telling you it's not real, and your brain should go, oh, this is fun then, rather than warning, watch out.
Like, this isn't real. That's why I'm really into memoirs lately. I think I love memoirs because they're so real. It's like someone's actual life experience. That's so interesting.
I know. I'm in a big memoir phase too. Memoirs are great.
Some of them are so interesting. No, I don't.
Have you
know the future?
Side note. Oh, you actually remember the question. Well done. Have you read The Glass Castle?
I
Complete
don't remember if I've read it. I know I've seen the movie.
Jeanette Walls. It's the best. Yeah. It's one of the best memoirs I've ever read. Besides, Diary of a Young Girl, which is my favorite memoir of all time. Which is a weird thing to say. It's my favorite. I think it's the best written of all time. Glass Castle is incredible. It's good. Side recommendation.
I don't know if I read it. Yeah. Okay.
Anywho, so centaurs, how much do they know?
They don't know the future, which was your original question, I thought.
Yeah.
But they know how to read the stars.
But if they know how to read the stars, don't they know how to read the future? They know war is coming. Is that a fact? Like, how precise? Maybe this is you're gonna roast me for this question. I already know it. How precise of a art is divination? Like divining of the stars and divining of, I
don't know much about it, but people who do say there's credence there. Like, people who know about it. And I think there's something to the stars and alignment of things. I don't know much about it, so I don't know. But apparently centaurs, which are a made-up creature, know how to read the stars and interpret movement.
Someone says centaurs are astrology girls, confirmed.
Exactly.
There's also some really, really good lines in this. Like, there's one line where it says, "Always the innocent are the first victims," he said. "So it has been for ages past, so it is now." And I think that line is really, really impactful because I feel like that's very true to reality. And I feel like it's very true to like a lot of things that happen in real life. Where like sometimes after something terrible happens, it's always innocent people who suffer first. And in this specific case, it's like this the unicorn is the first thing to die, and it's like a very innocent and pure being, but it's dying at the expense of something that is evil and wicked and is probably like, greater than this whole
The
thing.
unicorn.
Yeah.
The unicorn is the innocent victim here. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So I think that this are the stars and stuff like going to be. I'm sure you won't answer my question, but are the stars going to be a part of like a series?
I'll answer that in a little. Not really.
Okay.
In book 3, something happens and it's not really like the stars. And this is why I asked about. I'm not going to spoil that much, but this is kind of why I asked about the divination question, because they study divination at Hogwarts. That's one of the classes that they can take. So that class is featured in a little bit of one of the books, and we'll kind of get there when we get there. But it's not like to ease your mind, because I know your red flags are going off in your mind all over the place, because you're like, okay, if they're reading the stars, then I don't want to get into this. It's not that prominent. No. It's not that crazy. Yeah. It's very minimal.
No. Yeah, I'm just curious.
All right, let's go to chapter 16. Unless there's anything else in this one that you want to talk about.
No, I really want to get to 16 and 17. Okay. I think Dumbledore has a lot of wise things he says.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about that all over the place. All right.
16. Okay, so I think 16 is when oh, that's right. Okay. 16 is when Harry they've just lost a bunch of points for Gryffindor.
Mm-hmm.
And Harry's like, I'm going to mind my own business from now on and not lose my team any more points.
Mm-hmm.
And he overhears Quirrell like crying, okay. So he goes to look, and then he's like, no, like I need to ignore it and not get involved. And he sees Quirrell come out of a room.
Yeah.
Adjusting his turban.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, and like another door is like ajar on the other side of the room, and he assumes that it was Snape, but you never see him.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, we don't know that Snape was on the other side of that room. There's no evidence to show that. I don't know if that was chapter 15 or 16, but even when I heard that or read that, I was like, I don't know if it's Snape. I think it's something with the turban. So anyway,
interesting. You even thought that when you were reading it initially.
Yes, because you never see Snape, and it says he was adjusting his turban as he came out.
Yeah.
And I've always had suspicions about that turban. So I didn't connect all the dots, but I was suspicious. And then, so I forget how they realized that the Sorcerer's Stone is, and then Harry has a realization. He needs to go talk to Hagrid. Mm-hmm. Hagrid has been tricked into taking this dragon egg by the hooded creature. So Harry is like, we have to go to Fluffy tonight, and it's like, we have to go to the Sorcerer's Stone. Otherwise Voldemort or Snape is going to get it.
And he's adamant about that too.
Yeah, but the book is also leading us to think it's Snape, because Harry thinks it's Snape.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
So basically they have their little voyage to pass Fluffy down into like the tunnel, and then all the different like sections or whatever you want to call it to get to the Sorcerer's Stone. So they do the chess thing, the flying keys, the logic thing. And then, well, I guess 16 ends right when he gets into the chamber, but it's not Voldemort and it's not Snape. So you're left with a real cliffhanger. Just a moment.
That really got you for a little bit.
Didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if a good person or a bad person was going to be on the other side of the wall.
I know. You're almost like hoping it was Dumbledore or something like that, but Quirrell is it was Quirrell the whole time.
The whole time.
So,
but I have to say, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, you asked a question one time about Hagrid and if I thought he would be like good or bad or whatever, and I thought, I don't think he's bad, But I think if anything, he could potentially just be like a weak link, like
Yeah.
gullible.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened, where he was well-meaning, like didn't want to do something bad for the dark side, but he was tricked by Voldemort.
Exactly. Yeah. You nailed that one too. Like you're nailing personality theories, which is translating to like how their actions actually work out. So Hagrid, you're
But
like he's loyal but aloof, and that was exactly how his
yeah,
behavior manifested.
yeah, he's well-meaning. So, but actually, what do I get for all of my right guesses? You've never actually answered that. If I
When
get
did you
like a
ask that?
prize, I asked, and you were like, "Oh, I'll play a clapping track," or I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
what you said. But I need
Everyone,
like a prize. At
everyone is
Hogwarts.
in chat is clapping for you now. Everyone,
No one is clapping.
everyone
Don't condescend.
give
I
me
need an
no.
actual like.
Give me
present or
emojis. Everyone
prize.
put some emojis in the chat of Abby or
Oh, I
of
can't
clapping
see
for Abby.
it.
I know you can't see it, but
Well,
I'll see it and I'll translate it to you.
I don't believe you.
As soon as they start coming, I'll let you know how many we get of clapping emojis just for you for getting, because there's a 20-second delay on the
No.
stream. I gotta change that. I gotta just always boost the latency up. So sorry about that. Oh, we're getting clapping. Lots of clapping right now.
Well, you asked for it. It does. Thank you, everyone, but it's not as meaningful if you have to ask for it.
You were the one that asked for it.
No, I said I want a prize.
This is the prize. This is the prize that you're getting. All this clapping. Oh my goodness. There's so much clapping.
I would like a different prize.
What a nerd. I'll think of something to give you. I'll think of something for all your right predictions. We can make this a game. We can make it so I have to try to deceive you, and the more that you get wrong in a book, the more points I get, and you have to give me a prize. But the more you get right, I have to give you a prize or something.
Okay, well, I'm kind of into that, but the odds are stacked in your favor, not mine. You know the whole book.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll consider. We'll
no,
brainstorm
I'll get you a prize. We'll prize you up with something. People are saying, this is Abby's podcast now.
Okay, 16.
Oh,
Hagrid
so
was a weak link, but well-meaning.
Yeah, so he's a weak link, but well-meaning. And there's all sorts of other characters as well. Like, we'll talk about Dumbledore more at the end with all the lines that he gives, but Dumbledore is gone, and this is kind of when they realize that he's gone, because they see this whole thing happening. And Harry picks up on it real quick. He's like, okay, I need to figure this out. He goes to Hagrid. They realize Hagrid's a weak link. Do you remember what they do right after that?
They say we should tell one of the teachers, right?
Yeah.
And they don't. Or no, they do. They go
try,
tell yeah, they try to get McGonagall, and then Dumbledore's away. Which I feel like, Dumbledore, why are you away knowing there's this great battle happening?
Yeah, exactly. So that's
negligent.
An important question. Why did Dumbledore leave?
There's a lot of negligence going on at the school. They're having the children go in the Forbidden Forest.
Okay.
They're having children make potions on like the first day of their first year. And Dumbledore is away knowing that Voldemort could be afoot.
Okay.
A lot of oversights here.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that with Dumbledore and his oversights, because I want to talk about that for a little bit, and we'll probably talk about this more as we go on. But do you think that they're oversights, or do you think that he's purposefully doing this for maybe to grow Harry in some way?
I think, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, is he what?
Is he just like a mastermind of a planner, and like, is he orchestrating everything that's happening in these books?
Well, he is orchestrating some things, because he did give him the invisibility cloak, and he coincidentally came back right as Harry was like getting attacked by the Quirrell Voldemort thing. Mm-hmm. So Dumbledore like seems to know enough of what's going on. Maybe he knows everything that's going on, but he's not just like coming out and saying it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, I think he is calculated because at the end, then when Harry asks him questions, there's one specific one. He's like, I can't tell you
Yeah.
now, but when the time comes, I can tell you. So
Yeah.
I think he is calculated.
He is very, because in that sequence too, he's like, I'll answer any question that you have, Harry. Oh,
That I
I
can.
can't answer that question.
Yeah.
You'll find out more
Yeah.
later about that question.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I think the calculatedness of Dumbledore is an interesting one. We'll touch on this one as we go on too, because that's something I want to return to see like how much you think he. Because there is like a sub theory here that Dumbledore left on purpose because he knew that Harry needed to go through this, not necessarily on his own, but he knew he needed to go through this, like partially on his own in order to confront Voldemort and do everything. Because he says like he was flying, and then halfway through him flying, he realized he needed to be back at Hogwarts, so he like reversed, and there's a lot of weird
Yeah.
stuff. So
I don't buy it.
yeah.
Well, what do you think about or I guess it's the next chapter. But well, I'll just ask the question. You can come back to it if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
But at the very end, Hagrid comes in and he's crying. And Hagrid's like, I'm so sorry. I put you in this.
Mm-hmm.
I told him. And Harry, I think Harry is one who's like, no, if it wasn't you, it would have been someone else. Do
Yeah.
you think that that's true? If Hagrid hadn't messed up and gave away the secret.
I don't know.
I don't
So
know.
yeah, that's a fascinating one. I think this is the first instance that you get that you learn, at least to some extent, Voldemort is a pretty good manipulator. Like he knew exactly who to attack first, and he knew how to get it too. He knew to make Hagrid drunk, and then he knew Hagrid was going to give him the information because Hagrid is kind of trusted with some of this information. So if Hagrid wasn't in the equation at all, I still think Voldemort would have figured out a way to get that information from another teacher or another source. But
Yeah.
because he's such a master manipulator, just in this section alone, he knows to
He
go
went
for the
to
weak
the
link.
weak link first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Good point.
Thank you. All right, everyone, clapping emojis for me now. What do you think Dumbledore does on a day-to-day basis, though?
He runs the school. He's got a lot of administrative tasks to take care of. Maybe he raises grants. Maybe he raises money for the school. Oh, he's a part of the Ministry of Magic. I think that's where he was going. So
have you ever seen the Key and Peele sketch where they do the American School of Witchcraft and Wizardry? That's in like the ghetto.
No, but I love Key and Peele.
I gotta send you that one because in the beginning they're like now we don't have the endowment that Hogwarts has, but we're making do with what we got. And then there's one scene, one of my favorite scenes is he's like talking about their Quidditch team, and behind them, these little kids are flying around. He's going like, most of our kids are flying mops back there. He's like, we got two little kids that are flying Swiffers. They got little Swiffer wet.
No,
it's so
I've never
funny.
seen that. It's hilarious.
It's so good.
I love Key and Peele.
I know, they're so great.
Maybe I'll get it. I wouldn't have gotten it before, but maybe now I'll get it if I look at that clip. I'll look it up.
Exactly. I'll send it to you, so it'll be fun. So how do you like Harry's resolve on this whole thing? Because there's a bunch of different lines, like this is the one where he says, or Hermione says, "You can't," said Hermione. "After what McGonagall and Snape have said, you'll be expelled." "So what?" shouted Harry.
Yeah.
"Don't you understand? If Snape gets hold of the stone, Voldemort's coming back." How do you like Harry's resolve there? Do you think he's being responsible? Do you think he's being smart?
Yeah, well, I think he's standing up for what he knows is right and what needs to be done. And I can't help but think about the Enneagram. And that, to me, just confirms more that he's an Enneagram 9 because there's certain times where, like, Enneagram 9s can be kind of just, like, passive or, like, go with the flow until you reach something that's, like, you know is right or wrong, and then you really dig your heels in. And so there's several times already where you see Harry like really dig his heels into a situation, like, no, I'm doing this. This is what needs to be done. So to me, because I like think about the Enneagram, I can say it like that. But regardless, he's just standing up for what he really believes is like the right thing to do.
Is that a pretty typical thing of nines where it takes a lot to upset them, but they have like, if you cross their boundaries, that's when they'll go.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably common. Yeah.
Be fun to see a 9 be a villain in one of these stories.
Can we do I want to do a poll. Well, one, I'm curious like who knows about the Enneagram. I think asking what people's Enneagram is might be too specific, because I'm curious if it's even like if people are into it or not.
Okay, I'm gonna ask.
I'm curious what people's Enneagram is, but more so, I'm curious, are people really like?
All right, I'm just gonna start a poll. Do you know about the Enneagram? That's the poll, and then the second one is gonna be if anybody's in chat and they just want to say what their Enneagram is, so we can dissect that.
Yeah, so we can psychoanalyze you.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's like not interesting, someone go ahead. Sorry.
Most people aren't. A lot of people don't follow it. But if you know what your Enneagram is throw it out in the chat. Enneagram is like a different version of Myers-Briggs. And there's 9 types of people. It's like a long test online. It's like a little bit of an annoying test, but it's kind of interesting. It's like it's kind of fun. I have definitely learned a lot about myself through that test. So if you want, that'll be your homework assignment for everyone watching. Go take the Enneagram as soon as we log off.
Well, but gosh, let me tell you something while we're talking about it. It's so spammy online.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find one that is free. There are some legit ones, but you have to pay for. And then the free ones just get so spammy. Like I had 2 friends. I don't want to get too off into Enneagram
No,
talk,
this is great.
But I had 2 friends who I wanted to give it to the past few years. And so I Googled like free Enneagram test, and one came up, and you take it for free. But then to get your results,
so dumb.
I was so mad. But I had listened to my friend, like his answers at the time, so I was like, oh, I know what you are anyway. But then another friend I had take it, I just got tricked. Like, so you have to Google like free Enneagram results, like not just free Enneagram test.
Yeah, it's so they if
I find a good one, I'll send it to you, and you can put it like in your chat or whatever.
I'll throw it into the subreddit. We have someone, Maria, who I think you're watching from Italy, because you're watching the other stream too, which is like in the middle of the night in Italy. Look at that dedication. People are literally watching us, and it's in the middle of the night. But she's a 7, but I'm sure she said she tricked the test into what she wanted it to be. A 7's an enthusiast.
7s? Yes, 7s are the most fun.
Yeah, for sure.
My friends who are 7s.
My niece took it, and she got a 7, but she's probably a little too young to take it, because you don't want to type yourself.
I've heard it's hard to do it with kids.
Yeah,
because they're like still forming, basically.
One of the best things I think that you can do is find a friend of yours that knows about the Enneagram or Myers-Briggs and ask them what you are. A good friend. Because for a long time, I did think I was a 4, but then I remember the first time that I took the quiz, I came to you because I knew you were super into it. And I was like, Abby, I just took the Enneagram, and you started cackle laughing, and you're like, you are a 5 to a T. I've never met someone who's more a 5 than you. And then my results were like definitively and clearly a 5. Like there was a little bit of 4 in me. I'm like a 5-wing 4, but it was like very, very 5. Greece.
Yeah, you're the 5est of all 5s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because you used to say, I think I'm a 5 with a little 4, and I was like, that's what wings are. Like you're describing. Like
I didn't know that at the time, so thank you for guiding me through that.
I like the Enneagram. This is the last thing I'll ever say about it. Not really. I like the Enneagram. I think that Myers-Briggs is interesting, but I'm more into the Enneagram. The Enneagram does have like a whole history that I don't fully understand, but it has like spiritual roots, maybe. I don't know super about that, but I like the Enneagram because it has a more like internal, like the Myers-Briggs to me is like, this is how you process information. This is how you process like everyday life, how your brain works. And the Enneagram is more like, this is what motivates you. This is what you're
Yeah.
craving internally or afraid of internally. This is like, it can go much deeper if you like, it can be just kind of like a fun personality theory, or it can actually go deep if you want it to, like into like your true self and like
Yeah, for
how you
sure.
operate like deeply. So
Like deep fears that
I
you
think,
have, strengths and weaknesses that you have. It's like
yeah.
everything. It's very in depth.
And you can really grow from it too if you want
Yeah,
to
for
like
sure.
engage with it more. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So that's what we
so
talk
back to
about.
Harry.
We
So
think
back to
Harry.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
he's
what
really
it.
stood up for what's right.
Yeah, because that's like a 9 is. What is the 9? It's a peacemaker, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't. A peacemaker doesn't necessarily describe Harry that much. Like he's not necessarily the biggest peacemaker, but everything that a 9 is what Harry is. Like very, very similar, very
Yeah.
closely aligned to it.
There's also like a stubbornness
Mm.
in 9 stereotypically. So I think to me, this is where I would interpret it as like he's stubborn in a sense. Maybe it's not the best word, but like he's determined what he's gonna do,
Mm.
and no one's gonna tell him otherwise.
Yeah.
I think it could be like there's also wings, with Enneagram, and so if you're a 9, your wings would be 8 and 1, and the 8 Enneagram is definitely has like a heart for justice.
Yeah.
And so I see that in Harry, where he wants what's true and right and good
Yeah.
and just, and so it could be partly that, like he knows this is right and Voldemort's wrong, good and bad and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
he's fighting for what is just.
Yeah, for sure. And then Ron is like the loyalist too, right? Because there's one of my favorite lines in this whole chapter is when Harry's talking about what he's going to do. And he says, I'll use the invisibility cloak, said Harry. It's just lucky I got it back. And then Ron says, but will it cover all 3 of us? And Harry's shocked because he's like, you guys aren't coming. But in Ron's mind, he's like, yeah, of course we're coming. Like, is it going to cover all 3 of us? And I love Ron in that moment so much. His friendship with Harry is one of my favorite things in this book. I love it.
Yeah. They've got each other's backs.
I know.
Yeah, Ron is such a good friend.
And then we have Neville.
And Hermione is too.
Yeah, Hermione's become a really good friend to them. I love that. And then Neville's standing up for what's right. He has this line, I won't let you do it, he said, hurrying to stand in front of the portrait hole. I'll fight you. He took a step forward, and Neville dropped Trevor the toad, who leapt out of sight. Go on, then. Try and hit me, said Neville, raising his fists. I'm ready. I love Neville's, even his arc in this book, too, where he's like a terrified kid, and then he's standing up to people that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I like in this chapter, too, where they all have, the 3 of them, I mean, Ron, Harry, and Hermione, all have like a very key role in going through each of the like things to get to the Sorcerer's Stone. Like Hermione saves the day with the logic one.
Yeah.
Ron saves the day with the
chess. Yeah.
Like they couldn't have done it alone. They needed each other to like do it.
I know, which is so good. And I'm going to bear with me for my nerdness for a second. But in the Lord of the Rings, there's a big thing about who's the best character in the Lord of the Rings. Have you ever seen the movies, Lord of the Rings?
No.
Oh my gosh. It's the 3 greatest movies ever made. But there's a big debate in who is the greatest person in those books. There's like something called the Fellowship of the Ring. There's 9 people in that. And everyone debates about who's the best. A lot of people say Samwise is like really the main character in that, but none of them are the best. It's like all of them need to complement each other in order to get to this like this beautiful little community, this beautiful fellowship that they have. And I think the same is true in these books with Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They need each other desperately. And I love how the end of this book leads us to like showing how much they need each other. If they didn't have Hermione, they would have no like actual logic. They wouldn't be able to solve a lot of problems. Ron, for his just loyalty and dedication. Ron, I love in this too. He was the one who pushed them to go ahead. He's like, you need to go solve this. I'll sacrifice myself. And I know this is going to be what we need to do. Like you guys go ahead. And then, it's just like so much beautiful friendship happening in this chapter. They're relying on each other. They love each other. It's like, I love it so much.
Definitely. Yeah. With the chess one especially, I was like, ooh, we know Ron has good chess skills.
I know.
This is perfect.
I know. It was so awesome. And then I love when they get caught by the plant, the devil's snare, and
Oh yeah, and Hermione knows what it is.
yeah, and Hermione knows what it is, but Hermione's like, oh man, I wish we like had brought a lamp or like light. I wish we had some. And then Ron goes, have you gone mad? Are you a witch or not? And she takes out her wand and says Lumos, and then it like shrivels and goes away. But I love Ron's sassiness too.
So that's a good. I mean, one of the questions is always like, what does this book teach kids? But this is a really good picture of like not one of them could have done it alone. Even Harry, the star of the show, they needed each other, and they all had different strengths that came up when it was needed at different times. So they all relied on each other.
Yeah, I know.
Is that what she's teaching children?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. Well, I'll ask that at the end. What do you think she's teaching kids through this book? I think there's a lot of stuff that she's teaching because Dumbledore says a lot of really interesting lines at the end. But there's one specific one too, and this is even a line. But Harry, what if you know who is with him? Well, I was lucky once, wasn't I? Said Harry, pointing at his scar. I might get lucky again. Hermione's lip trembled, and she suddenly dashed at Harry and threw her arms around him. Hermione! Harry, you're a great wizard, you know? I'm not as good as you, said Harry, very embarrassed as she let go of him. And there's just like such beautiful little moments of friendship there. And I think friendship, Hermione and Harry are talking.
Said that to Harry? Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
And there's a key to this, which is like friendship. Friendship is like one of the biggest themes in these books. Like it is just like the keystone of these books.
Yeah.
And you just see that forming. It's just a beautiful thing. I love it so much. Which one was your favorite test out of all of them?
Oh gosh, chess, I would have died. Logic, I probably would have died. I hope I could have caught one of the keys. I would have probably died in the snare, though. I think I would have failed all of the tests. I like a good logic question.
Yeah, I feel like you would have been good at that.
It would have taken me 5 hours at a minimum.
But what's the rush?
The rush is that there's a bad guy with the Sorcerer's Stone over there. What are you talking about? What's the rush?
But he can't get it. He would stand in front of that mirror for hours. Yeah, you don't know that for sure. Yeah, well,
you don't know that.
Point taken.
Absolutely of the essence.
Yeah, it is very vital that they do this very quickly.
Yeah, that's like the whole point. I don't know. Hopefully, I would have passed the logic one. Which would you have passed? I would have died at every other one.
I would hope I would. I probably wouldn't have done good on the chess one. Although I like playing chess, I'm not great at chess. Or the logic one.
Caught the key.
Yeah, I would have. I would have done the key probably. That's like the only one that I really could have done.
Okay.
If you could add a test to this, according to your liking and your desires, what would you add?
I don't know if I'm clever enough to add a barrier.
I know. I was trying to think of one, and I'm like, I couldn't even think of one. I'm not like that. I'm not creative enough to try to figure out a test for this.
Yeah, a test. I would have just like put a bunch of barbed wire in a room. I couldn't pass it.
Yeah, you
get hurt.
Honestly, there's some basic stuff that they could have done. They could learn from the Muggle world and put it in like a safe. I'm sure like there's got to be some stuff that they could do.
Well, no, they had it in Gringotts, and it wasn't safe there.
That's very true. Someone broke in.
Yeah.
Great point, Abby. You're pulling up some good zingers. You're proving me wrong on a lot of this stuff. Well done.
Look how much you're twisting me into your little dark wizard world.
Do you have any other points in this chapter before we go to the last one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
All right. Can you give me a summary of the Man with Two Faces?
Yes. So as soon as he goes in the room, he sees Quirrell standing there. Shocking.
Very shocking.
And maybe I forget some of the order of things, but I forget actually what their first like dialogue is. But basically he learns that Quirrell is working on behalf of Voldemort, and at some point he's like, Well, I think he wraps him in like something so Harry can't move.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then they see the mirror and Harry's like, I want to get to the mirror first, but I don't want to make it obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I want to try and trick him. I want to lie to him. So Harry, or at that point, Harry knows that Quirrell is working for Voldemort, but doesn't know about the whole turban thing yet, I don't
Yeah,
think. So he tries to trick him and look in the mirror and lie to him.
yeah,
And a voice starts speaking, he's lying, he's lying. And it's like a high, like shrill voice, I think. And so I forget what exactly is said, but Harry was like, if is that Voldemort, like let me talk to him.
yeah,
So then Quirrell takes off his turban and turns around and the back of Quirrell's head is Voldemort.
yeah,
Was not expecting
yeah.
that.
Right? Isn't that a wild one? That's like a little bit of a
That's weird.
freaky end to a story.
Yeah. I would never have expected that. But now I know it's possible in this little world.
Yeah. So you would never have expected that, but you did expect Quirrell.
I had suspicions about Quirrell and specifically the turban because of the way it's talked about.
Yeah.
And I did think there was a connection between Voldemort and the turban.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would never
Yeah.
guess that
Yeah.
it's like the back of his head is.
You thought he just had like a
is
microphone in his turban or like a GoPro that was hanging out of the back of his
I
turban.
thought he was using it as like a seeing eye, and like he
Yeah.
could see out the turban and like, Quirrell was working on behalf of him, but I didn't think that he had taken the shape of the back of his head or something like that. So anyway, so they're fighting over the mirror. Or no,
Mhm.
he's trying to lie. Voldemort says no, he's lying. It's in his pocket. And it really had gone into Harry's pocket. But then Harry starts touching Quirrell and he's like screaming in pain when Harry touches him.
Mhm.
And so then Harry was like, let me touch his face, basically, and like try to kill him. And then there's like a loud boom and it goes dark. And then the next thing you know, Harry wakes up a few days later in the hospital with Dumbledore standing over him.
Yeah. Yep. And then Dumbledore
And
has a whole like discourse with him and like explains a lot of the stuff that's going on.
yes, so they have like he lets Harry ask some questions. Harry's like super concerned about the stone. And so Dumbledore explains. Okay, actually, we do have some things to talk about here
Yeah.
because Dumbledore explains. Harry's like, "What about the stone?" And Dumbledore is like, "It's been destroyed.
Yeah.
I spoke with Nicholas Flamel about it.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to take some elixir to get his affairs in order,
Yeah.
and then him and his wife, I think, will die."
Paranel, yeah.
Okay, so it's not the elixir of life. It should be called the elixir of a very long time, not of life. Because if you drink the elixir of life, you would think, oh, I'll live forever. And he's not going to live forever. He's going to live for a very, very, very long time, an unnaturally amount of long time, but that's not forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do take issue with something being called the elixir of life when it's not the
So
elixir of life.
you can write a note to JK and say, can you make an edit in your book and call it the elixir of a very long time rather than the elixir of life?
Not it. Not it. I'm going to get technical with it. They talk about that. Okay, Harry's first question to Dumbledore is, why? Oh, that's right. His first question is, why did Voldemort kill my mother and not me, or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
And Voldemort says, I can't tell you, but I will tell you later when you
Yeah.
can handle it, basically. Which is interesting.
So why?
I suspected you would ask that. I don't know, other than it's just like knowledge he can't handle yet. I think if Harry knew the truth, it would just be too much. Like
Dumbledore. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No. So
No, you.
Dumbledore has this weird line too, where he says, let me find it. The truth, Dumbledore sighed. It is a beautiful and terrible thing, and should therefore be treated with great caution.
Yeah.
What does he mean?
Dumbledore is very wise. So my best guess would be that Harry is the only one who could truly defeat Voldemort, but that's too much pressure for Harry to have. I can't look at you when I say my guess.
In my head, consciously, I was like, all right, what am I doing here? What's my facial expression? I can't think that theory is that crazy.
Do videos anymore. We shouldn't do videos anymore.
Just audio, yeah.
Just audio podcast. I think that if Harry is the only one who could defeat Voldemort, for example, that would be too much pressure for him right now because he's just a young pup. He's just a new wizard. He's only learning the basics, and it's too much pressure and expectations for a child to know. So when he's older, when he's learned more skills, when he's had time to develop, maybe then he will learn he is the savior, so to speak.
Okay.
And he's the only one who can defeat this dark evil force that is Voldemort.
Yeah, it's a good guess.
That's my best guess. We'll leave it at that.
We'll see. It might be a good one. It might be a very, very terrible guess. We'll see.
Might be the dumbest thing anyone's ever said.
I don't know where you're coming up with this stuff right now.
Okay.
I want to return to Dumbledore's section in a little bit, but at the same time, maybe this is a weird question, but what is Voldemort?
Well, now, from my understanding, he's basically like a spirit. He's not in a body. I forget what exactly they say, but his body was too weak, and so he needs like a host, basically, to like someone needs to like let him into their heart. And so he needs like a host to live in because he doesn't have a body or his body was weak or something. And so I think that in my mind he's like a spiritual like entity.
Okay.
Floating around, looking, roaming to and fro for his next dark victim.
Okay. So do you think that each of the books is going to be like this model where he like finds someone, possesses them, something happens, he wins or loses? Or do you think it's going to like, what variation is there going to be in these books?
I don't know. I think he's going to make an appearance. I don't know. I doubt it will be the same exact each time because that feels redundant, but I think eventually I could see him just taking shape again and entering into a body and being present in the story.
Okay.
But I don't know.
All
Maybe
right.
he returns and starts to like build his army.
Maybe.
A dark army.
Stop studying me. Stop looking at me.
Can't say. No, I'm thinking. I'm just saying.
Interesting. What was the tone of voice I say when I say interesting? Oh, interesting.
No, that was very subtle. It was more subtle.
Interesting.
Said, oh, interesting.
Interesting.
Huh. Like
My voice goes a little higher. Oh.
Huh. Like that.
At the same point, Dumbledore has a lot of wise lines, but Voldemort does have like pervertedly wise lines. He has this one line, "How touching it hissed. I always value bravery. Yes, boy, your parents were brave. I killed your father first, and he put up a courageous fight. But your mother needn't have died. She was trying to protect you. Now give me the stone unless you want her to have died in vain." What is he talking about there?
Your mother died, but she didn't have to. Well, his mother died protecting him, I thought. So
yeah, so his mother died protecting him, but this is one of the questions that Dumbledore or that Harry is kind of interested in. But why is Dumbledore after Harry?
You mean Voldemort?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Voldemort.
As
After.
Voldemort after Harry. Yeah, well, I don't know. My best guess is that there's like a spell on him,
Okay.
or there's something about him that he can defeat Voldemort, or he can defeat like darkness.
Okay. Sorry, 1 second. My mom just texted me asking if I'm free for breakfast tomorrow. I gotta answer her.
Busy mom. I'm on a podcast, mom.
My mom is the best. I would never say that about my mom.
No, I was making fun of you.
Yeah. I know, and I'm saying I'm always gonna answer my mom's texts. um
Yeah. I don't know, to answer your question. You've circled around that wagon before, and I don't know
you have no answers.
I don't know what specifically, other than
I guess maybe like a side question onto this too is, why did he only only kill the father and say, like, I could have spared your mom?
Well, I took that to mean he would have tried to kill the dad and Harry, and his mom said no, to take me instead and leave my baby.
Yeah, okay. Maybe.
I think they were trying some like spirits to I don't know really. I don't know everybody's ages. I know now that Snape and Harry's dad, well, and the mom, all went to school at Hogwarts together.
Yep. So
I don't know where Voldemort falls into that though.
Voldemort is significantly older than all of them. So Voldemort is 50s or 60s. Snape is early 30s, like very early 30s. And yeah, Harry's parents would be early 30s. They had Harry, I think, when Lily was 21. So they were young when they died, which is like even more tragic. They weren't like, they didn't like get married and wait a few years to have kids. They got married, had Harry pretty quick, and died at 21. Dumbledore is significant. Dumbledore is older than Voldemort. So we'll kind of go through some of the ages as they hit, but you'll kind of find out how old Voldemort is a little bit more in the next book. And we'll get there when we get there.
We know that Harry's dad saved Snape's life.
Yeah, for sure. What happened there?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a story, and I'm sure it will come up in the future. Maybe I'm onto something here. An idea just came to my mind.
All right.
So Voldemort is bad, and evil. And we know that Snape, doesn't it say in the beginning of the book that Snape was bad but came back to like the good side?
Yeah.
Okay. So Voldemort was on some sort of killing spree.
Okay.
And was trying to kill even people from his own army, so to speak.
Okay.
And somehow Harry's dad intervened and saved Snape's life, pulled him back to the good side, not the dark side, because his own leader was trying to kill him. And so there's some resentment there from Snape. That would actually make a little bit of sense to me, because Snape, that could make sense as to why Snape is resentful of Harry's dad, because why else would he be resentful of someone saving his life? You'd think he'd be thankful for it. So Snape is like ashamed. He was doing something he shouldn't have on the dark evil side, and someone from the good side saved his life. And he's ashamed and embarrassed and ultimately resentful, wrongly, I might add. But it says that. I think I just cracked the code.
That's a ridiculous theory. Why would you ever think that?
Maybe.
Okay, so I want to talk about that in a second. I want to
battle.
Okay, that's an interesting one. let me circle back to this in a second because I have one question before that. When they're in the,
you need to recompose yourself so
yeah,
you don't give it away.
So here's one of the most basic questions I have for this chapter. How did Harry actually get the stone? Can you explain that to
really
me?
Clever. Yeah, well, only because you explained it to me. So when Dumbledore made it so if you looked in this, you can explain it better. If you look in the mirror,
I want you to explain it.
The mirror shows your true desire, and he knew that Voldemort would have a twisted, not pure desire.
Okay.
But Harry would. So Harry pictured someone good getting the stone instead of Voldemort. So that made actually the stone go into his pocket because he imagined it when looking in the mirror, and because Harry is good, it did go into his pocket, where Voldemort is bad and evil, and he wouldn't have seen that when he looked in the mirror. So it's very clever.
And Dumbledore kind of explains that a little bit later too. Like Voldemort or Quirrell was looking into the mirror because he wanted to use it to resurrect.
Quirrell, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, it is Voldemort too, because he wanted to use it to resurrect Voldemort. Voldemort wanted it for himself. So Harry, he wanted it.
Yeah.
Why did he want it?
So it would be safe and not abused by someone dark.
Yeah, not in Quirrell's hands for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very distracted by my theory, aren't you?
It's just such a good theory, Abby. I just can't get my mind off of it. So Dumbledore does have a lot of other really interesting lines, like when Perenelle and Nicholas Flamel are about to, or when Harry learns that they're going to die. Harry seems shocked, and Dumbledore says, "To one as young as you, I'm sure it seems incredible, but to Nicholas and Perenelle, it really is like going to bed after a very, very long day. After all, to the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure."
I don't get the well-organized mind part of that, but I did think it was an interesting line. I don't get I don't get exactly what he meant by that, but it can be the next great adventure, the afterlife, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a strange line. I'm always curious why he said well-organized mind right there. Maybe it plays dividends in the next few books. You really figure out what a well-organized mind is.
Well, why are you curious about it? You know the next few books.
No, that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm just trying to throw you off.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I don't get the well-organized mind. But this is also where he explains why Quirrell couldn't touch him and why Voldemort couldn't touch him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because Harry's mother loved him so much, and he was marked basically by that love. If I take nothing else from this story, which might be the case, I will take that with me forever. Just like that is so profound and so beautiful, being marked by love.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
worth reading the book.
Yeah. I'm going to read that line because it is a phenomenal line with what Dumbledore says. Mm-hmm. He says, "Your mother died to save you. If there is one thing Voldemort cannot understand, it is love. He didn't realize that love as powerful as your mother's for you leaves its own mark, not a scar, no visible sign. To have been loved so deeply, even though the person who loved us is gone, will give us some protection forever. It is in your very skin." Oh, I love that line. It's so good.
I know. I could have cried when you read that. Well, it's true for like everyone everywhere, but like Harry's character, like he's never had a connection to his parents, and he's always probably wondered. But then to have a mention of like it's in his skin, like he's marked by it, that has to be like so like comforting, you would think.
I know.
Like, deep in his subconscious, you know.
I know. What do you think that it actually does mean, though, that the protection is in Harry's very skin?
Well, it could also still be like a spell.
Yeah.
Like because his mom she did love him with genuine love, but then also her love may have led to her like doing like a spell of protection over him.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
um, this is one of the questions I asked you before, but do you think that Dumbledore actually meant for Harry to go after Voldemort?
I think so. Now that I think about it, yeah, I think it was calculated.
Hmm.
I think he only let him go so far, knowing he would ultimately save the day, or like save him if he got in trouble. But I think what Voldemort, I think no, sorry, what Dumbledore does. I think what Dumbledore does is calculated. He gave him the invisibility cloak.
Yep.
He gave it back to him when he
Mm-hmm.
lost it.
Yeah.
Not a coincidence. So I think he came to that one, Dumbledore came to that one Quidditch match with the house, like a big game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Dumbledore, is tuned into what's going on more than
Very
meets the
much.
eye.
Very much. Very much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's part of it too where like you really do think that he is in a weird way like orchestrating the whole thing together. Like he does seem a little bit like passive in this book to some extent, but the fact that he was on his way to London and that he turned halfway around, it's almost like he like laid out all these things, because there's even the one part that I loved in their dialogue when Harry talks about Nicholas Flamel, because he talks about the elixir of life and he's like, but Nicholas Flamel will like die, and Harry or Dumbledore says, oh, you know about my friend Nicholas. And he's like, you really did the thing proper then, didn't you?
Yeah.
So like Dumbledore was
Yes,
leading him
yes.
to this to some extent. Maybe not everything, but he was definitely leading him there.
This is a test. Yeah, I did see that line and I didn't really know what that was about. Like, what thing did he do properly? But that would make sense. It's the test that Dumbledore set before Harry.
But why
This
do
has
you
been a mission placed him on the whole time.
why do you think that he put this test in front of him?
It's very simple. It's very obvious. Because he is the chosen one, Dumbledore really needs to grow him and nurture him so he's in tip-top shape to lead the
Interesting.
good army one day and to defeat the dark forces of the wizard world. It's very
All right.
simple. I'm sure of that.
Do you think that there's any doubt in Voldemort or in Dumbledore? And this might sound like a bizarre question, and maybe this is just a left field question, so don't think too much into this. Do you think that there's anything in Dumbledore that thinks Harry might be too like a Voldemort replacement, and so he's like putting this stuff in front of him to test him in a negative way?
No.
Okay. Next question.
Next question. I think Harry's been marked by something. I don't know the spell that was put over him by his parents, if that's even what happened. But I think he is marked for the good. I think it's just a matter of, will he grow into the wizard boy that he's meant to be, the wizard man that he's meant to be, and grow in the skills and the level of responsibility and power.
Okay. Interesting.
He won't be turned to bad.
All right.
Because Dumbledore says too, when he saved him, Dumbledore is like, "Oh, you were good." But Harry is like, "Well, I couldn't have kept him off much longer." So it's like Harry had a limit.
Yeah.
He could have been destroyed. So Dumbledore came in at just the right moment. So Harry can handle some now, but not the full weight of like Voldemort's evil darkness.
Which is, again, Harry can only handle so much at this moment.
Yes.
With like physically and mentally.
Dumbledore is training him up.
Okay.
He's strengthening him every year.
Okay.
Until he leads the revolution in the last book.
All right. Well, we don't have to read it anymore because you're nailing everything, Abby. Every point that you're making is just so good.
I'm sure of it.
So,
the chapter ends, Joe. I didn't finish my summary of the chapter.
Yeah.
It ends with they all get all the points back that they lost, and Neville gets 10 points then for being brave.
My boy, my guy,
And they
Neville.
win. Gryffindor wins.
How
so
rigged is the point system?
whatever it's called. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all.
I know, it's ridiculous. There are so many memes out there of like Slytherin's up ahead and Dumbledore's like, "Oh, Harry, you tied your shoelace, 60 points, so you can win the House Cup," you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they did defeat Voldemort, and I think like 50 points for each of them is a little low compared to preventing the Dark Lord from rising again. They probably should have been like a lot more points than that, but they still won, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a really weird question, but at the beginning of the book, Dumbledore talks about how Harry is better raised away from the wizarding world.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that his personality would have changed much had he been raised in the wizarding world by people who like knew his story and would feed into that?
Yeah. Well, we did talk about that before, and yes, I definitely think so, because he may not have been so humble.
Okay.
Like, he grew up, if he would have known his whole life he's the chosen one, he's the star of the show, I think that it could have shaped him much differently, and he could have had like a chip on his shoulder. He could have been more conceited or like full of himself, but he's not that way at all. He's like very innocent, unassuming, and like eager to learn.
Yeah.
Where if he grew up really conceited, he may not be so open to like learn what is needed to like be a good wizard.
He'd be at like Hogwarts signing autographs for students and
and he's not like that at all. So
and that's one thing you love about Harry so much is his humility. He's just
humble boy.
Yeah, he's a humble boy. Very typical of nines, you know.
Doesn't think too highly of himself.
I
think that's probably partly why.
Which is a good quality to have, I think. Anything else in this chapter before we go into the final questions?
I think so.
What are your general thoughts on Dumbledore? Do you like him as a character? You think he's like a little bit of an oddball, but do you like him?
He's odd. Yeah, I like him. I think he's like a wise grandfather. I think I could see him more as a 5, just because you can't really like read him that much, but like he's taking it all in. He has a plan, like he knows what's best, and because of his age, and like he knows what's best in the bigger picture. He knows like what he wants Harry to do, and just like the wisdom he's saying at the end, it just feels like I don't know. I get 5. The sense he could be a 5, but I'm not positive.
Okay. Sorry, I'm typing something in chat.
How good my predictions are. Everyone is saying, wow, her predictions are good. Take a poll. Are my predictions amazing or not?
All right, I'll take that poll for you. Give Abby some pats on the back. Are Abby's predictions good?
No. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, because I'm not even I wouldn't even share the results of that poll with you.
I know. Don't do it.
Yeah, this is a good
Enneagram question in your Reddit. Aren't people more engaged with Reddit like over time?
Yeah, for sure.
So put the Enneagrams. I'm just curious if other people are into the Enneagram.
We'll send the good tests too, so people can take that and see what they are, and they can kind of understand it. Because for this season, we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Also, we're going to invite either one or two of our other friends on, married couple on, and we're going to do like a summary of the whole book. And they're all into personality theory, or at least she is.
Yes.
Her husband probably is too. Yeah. I think he is very much.
I think he is. Yeah.
So we're going to invite them on, and we're just going to chat about all things, because Christine, the person that is going to come on, she has read these maybe more times than I have. She is gung-ho about these books.
She probably has.
Yeah. And she's the one that said you can't understand me unless you read Harry Potter, which I fully subscribe to.
I don't know if she'll know all the trivia that you know.
Yeah,
like
for
all
sure.
The facts, but she probably has read it more than you have. She's a very fast reader too, so I don't doubt when she says she's read it 15 times.
Yeah. One of my favorites. Actually, I'll save the story for next one. But she has a funny story of her reading this book to one of her friends who was sick. They told it it's a great little story. She read this story to Brittany, and when Brittany was like sick in bed, and she read some of Sorcerer Stone, but she read it in a British accent the whole time to her while she was sick in bed. It was so cute.
Aww, I never heard that story.
Okay, so how did you like this book? Was it better or worse than you initially thought? We asked that at the beginning, but answer this again.
It was good. But you asked how the end was. It was a good book. I would say 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's a book that you rate 10 out of 10?
I don't know. I have to think about it.
Okay.
It was good.
Sorry, I'm still typing in chat saying how bad Abby's predictions are, and we gotta change the whole podcast because of this.
No, they're like, you're in trouble. She's figured everything out. Like, change your format.
So let's do the final 3 questions, but of the entire series. So give me who your hot tamale award is, even though you might not have one.
An A.
Okay.
Not applicable.
Yeah, let's just skip that one for this book. Who is your what's your favorite moment in this book? Snape? Were you gonna say Snape? Whoa!
Because you said he's in his 30s and I'm in my 30s, and I thought, well, maybe.
Hot Snape right there. Oh my gosh.
But, no, I take it back though, because he was so mean to the kids.
Wait,
he was so mean to the kids in school. So I fully take it back.
Time out. I'm gonna show you the illustrated version right now, and you're not gonna like Snape after what I show you.
No, I already take it back. You know, you can still show me, but I already know I'm not gonna like it.
Okay, hold on.
I had a gross, to everyone listening and watching, I had a gross error in judgment for just a moment. I take it back. Snape is not a hot tamale. I was just speaking to everyone while you were gone. I took it back.
But I'm still going to show you because these illustrations are great.
Go ahead and show me. But I was just picturing like.
These illustrations are the coolest things ever.
Oh, that's scary.
That's Dudley. Vernon, Dudley.
Oh, that's Dudley.
Petunia. Dudley has a little bee with food on his face.
That's perfect.
The guy who illustrates these is just unbelievable. But I gotta find Snape in this one because. Give me a hot second.
He's gonna be an ugly little warthog. I didn't mean it.
Nope, this is the guy that you're attracted to. So.
No, I'm not.
I'm kind of thinking Snape is pretty attractive. Snape's kind of he's mysterious. It's a little bit of a.
Yeah. Yeah, if he could be mysterious and not mean to the children,
yeah,
then I would reconsider what I said.
This is
Malfoy. Who is that?
Yeah, it's Malfoy, the worst.
Pictured him with dark hair.
Nope, he's a blonde boy. Another good one. This book has one of my favorite illustrations. I'm going to show you in a second.
Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be Dumbledore.
So good. I love this book so much. This isn't his profile, but
you can't even see him. Ew, he's creepy and dark and evil. I took it back immediately once I said it. I'm not attracted to him.
He's a babe. He's a babe in these books.
He's not. No, he's not.
I don't know if his portrait is in this one. It might be in a different one. But I think that right there is just in it. I just want to show you. There's so many good ones in this.
Ron?
Yeah. He's so great. So great.
I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
Or show me the main characters.
I'm showing you all the main ones in this. This is my favorite illustration in this book because I think this typifies Dumbledore really, really well. Can you see?
Yeah. I don't picture them sitting on the floor together though.
So that's the Mirror of Erised. I love them sitting on the floor together because I feel like Dumbledore would do that. He would just like stoop down, sit with Harry, and like explain to him all the things on it. I love it so much.
I want to change the hot tamale question to the most beloved. And my answer to that would be Hagrid. Hagrid
I love that. Okay.
Warms my heart. His love and care for Harry throughout the whole book was heartwarming. So
yeah,
he's not hot, but he's wonderful. McGonagall.
Yeah.
Knew it.
I like that. We're going to change it, at least for now, to the most beloved character. I really love that. I think that's good. I'm going to give it the most beloved character to Ron. I am such a big Ron fan. I think he is such a good friend to Harry in this book. He's Harry's first real friend, and I think he is just an exceptional person. I love him to the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
What's your favorite moment in this?
The cat.
Are you kidding me?
I'm really not. I like it. It's the beginning of the book.
Yeah. And
that's the one like fantasy kind of like silly magical thing I liked. Oh, there's like a cute cat sitting here reading the map. And I'm not, that might be a boring answer, but that was one of my favorite moments.
You're not even a big cat person either. Come on.
If you absolutely need me to pick another moment, I can. But
no, I'll give you the cat one, even though it's ridiculous. Sure.
What's yours?
The Mirror of Erised is one of my favorite chapters. I love that moment. That's why even like my favorite illustration in this, when Dumbledore is sitting crisscross with Harry on the floor. I think that shows exactly kind of who he is. That chapter just really, really hits me hard. Like Harry's desire to see his parents, and how like tender Dumbledore is with him, and how it's becoming an obsession with Harry, but he knows that it's not wise to become an obsession. And there's a lot of wise things said in that chapter. So I love it so much.
It cautions him.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, can I give an honorable mention?
Yeah.
My favorite was the cat. But I would like to give an honorable mention to when Hagrid comes in at the very end and is crying by Harry's bedside, because he just loves him so much and he feels so terrible. So I don't like that he feels so terrible he's crying, but it shows like how well-meaning he is and how much he loves him, and like, so I love that. So
there's a fantastic line with that where Hagrid goes, "I sent owls off to all your parents' old school friends asking for photos. Knew you didn't have any. Do you like it?" And it says Harry couldn't speak.
He couldn't speak.
But Hagrid understood.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah. Hagrid is a surrogate parent, really, in a way that no one else is. Like, his aunt and uncle are terrible.
Yep.
Ron's mom is kind of sweet to him as much as she can be, being far away. So Hagrid is really like the closest he has to like a loving parent.
Yeah, for sure. It's a beautiful thing. And who wins the House Cup? Who is the best character in the book? Your favorite?
Oh, I always forget. The House Cup. Favorite character.
Because favorite and most beloved is different.
Yeah, that's I would why don't you go first and give me a moment to contemplate?
I'm gonna be boring and say Harry is my favorite for a few different reasons. The book is called Henry Potter.
It's his book after all.
Yeah, it is his book. But I think it's a remarkable thing how resilient this kid is, and how he is so humble and doesn't think too highly of himself. And he has just so many qualities that I want to have. And he's at such a young age, and he just is resilient. He stands up for what he believes in. He's loyal to his friends. He's a good friend. He's fun. He's like making fun of people sometimes in like really funny ways. He's just like, he's a good character in this book, and I really like him.
I don't really have another favorite other than Hagrid.
Hagrid's okay.
He's my answer for both.
All right, that's fine.
He's a good guy.
Hagrid is a good guy. All right, well, I'll quit asking and grilling you with questions. We're gonna do another podcast later with our friends, and then we're gonna start book 2 in a little bit. We're gonna take probably some breathers in between the books for a week or two, and then we'll go from there.
Yes.
Any last things to say?
I don't think so, but I'm just giving you a heads up that I might, of my own accord, watch the movie.
Oh, hold on, wait. Time out. If you watch the movie,
plan or want me to do something, but
if you watch the movie, we need to watch it live. We need your reactions to everything.
I should have told you.
I'm glad that you did. I think it'd be so fun if we had like a little timer up there and both of us were like watching at the same time on this. And
how long are the movies? Or
some of them are long. They're long. Movie 1 is like 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah, then probably not. I mean, I can't sit still that long, so when I watch a long movie like that, I watch it like in chunks.
Yeah, we can watch it in chunks. Watch like 4-part Harry Potter movie-a-thon. By the end of this, you're going to be watching them all in a marathon. You're going to be spending an entire day watching Harry Potter.
Can you imagine? I don't think so. Are there any spoilers though? If I watch movie 1, are there spoilers for the next book?
The movies might make you mad because the movies do miss certain things. They're like quaint. Movies 1 and movie 2 follow the book pretty closely, and then movie 3 and the rest of them go a little bit off, and they kind of do their own thing. They forget certain things. The only thing that's really a spoiler is given in movie 6, and it's not that significant. Well, it is significant, but it sometimes goes right over your head if you don't really know what you're talking about with the end of the series. But so that's the only movie we would hold back potentially. But if you want, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Anyway,
TBD.
We'll figure that out. Thanks for joining us on our journey of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.
Thank you.
Tell her that the movie fundamentally changes the characters and has spoilers.
Well, if it had spoilers, I would hold back. But if it doesn't,
I know. I don't want you. There's a purity when you read the books, and you have, because right now in your head, you're not thinking of Daniel Radcliffe when you're.
But I am.
Oh, really?
Because when I know Hermione is Emma Watson.
Yeah.
I know that. So I am picturing some people. I don't know who everybody is, but I know who the 3 kids are. I know who those actors are. So I do know what some characters look like.
Sorry. So that was one of the things when I read the books initially, you didn't
have the movies.
I didn't really have the movies. We did have the movies. They were coming out pretty quick, but I didn't watch the movies. I read the books first, and I had the characters in my head. And then when I watched the movies, the movie characters like infiltrated my brain, and that was all that I could think about. Was when I was reading Harry Potter, I'd only think of the movie characters, which is tragic to me because I remember like some of the characters that I had in my head. And then this book unlocked the characters that I had in my head again, which I was like so thankful for. That's why this is my favorite. I love these. These illustrated versions are very close to what I was thinking in my head originally. And I love this book for it because it brings me back to like my childhood again.
Okay. Well, TBD.
You're like, all right, that's a little too much, John. All right.
I might go rogue and just watch it anyway. We'll see. Or I'll wait.
We'll chat. We'll chit chat. We'll figure it out.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, thanks for joining, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
You guys are the best. End stream in 3, 2, 1. All right. Stream is over.
Were you recording?
Yeah.